we'll pick up now and talk about Tier 1 interventions, which, remember, the question for that is there a class-wide need? The key to an effective RTI model has got to be an effective PLC. If a principal calls me and asks if I can support their RTI initiative, their MTSS initiative, my first question is, do you have an effective PLC? And if not, that's the first thing we focus on. Now, PLCs meet often, and oftentimes it's once a week. So in this model I'm showing you here, they meet once a week, and what I'm suggesting is that twice a month they can talk about whatever it is they want to talk about. But once a month, if you're doing an RTI model, MTSS for math interventions, then once a month I need you talking about core math instruction. And then if once a month you're implementing an RTI model, once a month I want you talking about the RTI intervention data, which means that after you collect the universal screening data, so September, January, and May, the very next meeting we talk about those data and interpret them. The other meetings of the month, other monthly meetings of the year, so October, November, December, February, March, April, the PLC is the one that looks at the data of the kids getting an intervention to see if the interventions are working. So I'll talk briefly about that meeting a month where you look at the screening data. And at that grade level team PLC meeting, we answer these 5 questions. Is there a class-wide need? Who needs Tier 2? Did we miss anyone? What should we do for Tier 2? And should we go to Tier 3? So the first question is there a class-wide need? Here's a typical grade level data. This is STAR, and we see a bunch of kids who need help. The first question is there a class-wide need? We get that by finding the class median. So we simply rank order the cases and find the one that's in the middle. So in this case, there are, 21 kids or so? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we have 10 kids above and 10 kids below the median. The median in this case is 678, which is below our criterion benchmark of 690. So in this case, when the class median is below the criterion, this example of 690, we have what we call a class-wide need. We first have to address the needs of these kids as a group before we can move into small group intervention. If you're using STAR and MAP and other reports like that, they report that for you. So you can see in the red box there, the circled red box, that they report the mean and median RIT score. So you simply compare that score to whatever criterion is they give you. The NWA or your district or someone will identify a score of 208 or whatever, or lower means the kid needs support. And if the class median is below that score, in this case a 201, then yes, then that means that we have a class-wide need. In this example, it looks like there are, I believe the RIT score we're looking for is 205.7. The median is 201, which means that yes, there is a class-wide need. If you see a class-wide need, we do a class-wide intervention. And again, coming back to the areas of math proficiency, the class-wide intervention is really going to focus heavily on procedural fluency. The reason being is most of the kids who struggle with math problems, who struggle with math in elementary school and even middle school, the main reason they struggle is because they cannot use the facts fast enough to use them. So the first thing we're going to do for most kids is really shore up that procedural fluency. It's not going to help every kid, but at Tier 1 it's not supposed to, even in Tier 2. We're going to try and help as many kids as we can to get that number down from those who need help from 10 or 12 down to, say, 5. That's our first step. So I do throw the intervention plan. The one I developed took from Amanda Vander Hayden, my colleague who does quite a bit of work in this. But we've studied it a few times, and we see pretty good results. And this is a protocol-based class-wide peer tutoring. So we do a couple different things. But the approach I use most frequently has the kids match up in pairs, and we'll create heterogeneous dyads. So I'll come back to this in just a second. These are just the protocols we use for them. So here we have a group of kids who are low, and we have the median in the pre-intervention is at 11. So we see the case, we're going to heterogeneously group the kids. Times I'm not really going to talk much about that. We don't fold the kids, we slide them. So you take the highest of the high and put them with highest of the low, and keep going that, second highest of the high, second highest of the low. So eventually with the highest of the low with the lowest of the high. So you don't fold it, so the highest of the highs with the lowest of the low, you kind of slide it. So create heterogeneous dyads. We give them flashcards or some material where they go and sit down together and practice them for about 5 minutes each. Again, I'm not doing a really good job discussing this for time's sake, but you can certainly find more information pretty easily. And then you can use this scripted lesson as well. And then once they practice doing that together, with flashcards or something, then we have them do a time drill. Varies in amount of time. We usually do 2 minutes. And then have the kids check their own work or share with their partner and check their work. And then at the end of all of that, we do another timed assessment and have the kids graph their progress. Here's the directions for the kids. So we did this for a period of about 10, 15 school days in this particular classroom. And we here see the class median was 11, and the number of kids who needed help was quite high. It's anyone who scores 14 or lower. So we're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 kids did the class wide intervention, and now the median goes up to 29, well above that criterion of 14. And now the number of kids who need help are 1, 2, 3, arguably 3. There's a couple more we're going to talk about, but pretty much 3. Like this kid here went from student Q went from 19 to 15. We're still going to talk about that kid. Is that kid that needs support in tier 2? But regardless, now the number of kids who need help is down to 2, 3, or 4, and now we can run effective small group interventions. We had lots of success with this. We did a study with this. This was Sandy Poulos' dissertation at the University of Minnesota when I was on faculty there, and she did a great little study, and she compared 3 different groups. The control group, where they did reading intervention during the time, the strategy group, where they did strategy instruction. So we taught them a way to use a certain strategy to solve problems in math, and then just drill, straight up drill. And you can see from pre to post, drill is the condition that by far led to the most growth. And then this percentage of kids who need help. So the control condition, roughly 85% of the kids needed help. And that number actually went up to 100% at the post-test 2 weeks later. When we look at strategy, the number of kids who need help went from 85% down to about 80%, a little less than that. But when we look at the drill condition, around 85% or so, 88%, down to about 40% or even less. And unfortunately, there are some tech options, Math Fact Cafe, thatquiz.org, extramath.org. Some really great ways for kids, if you have the technology to do so, in one-to-one or some ability to get one-to-one device ratio for kids. And there's some great options you could use. They're free. You have to sign up for them usually, but they're free, and the kids can practice their math facts pretty easily. Now, I tend to like these, like That Quiz and Extra Math, because they're kind of engaging, but they're not as outrageous as some of the other ones I've seen. I've seen some that are really visually engaging, but I've watched kids do them and literally watched kids be completely engaged in a math program for 15 minutes and never do a single math problem. I watched one little girl change her avatar's hat, walk around the imaginary world and look at different doors, and she went 15 minutes without doing a single problem. So I sort of like these that are still tech and still collect some good data, but they're don't have quite as many bells and whistles. All right, we'll stop there. Next, talk about how to do tier 2 interventions for math.